Utah's most accurate forecast with Devin Lucy, Weather Rate certified 7 years in a row.
Welcome back to ABC4 News Midday. We are at Hillfield Elementary. Did I get it right this time? Yeah. I'm so used to saying Hill Air Force Base that I want to say we're here at Hill Air Force Base, but all of our ladies and gentlemen serving the armed forces would be a little bit young today. But what is fun, and we talked about this a little bit before, is we have a lot of parents that are at Hill Air Force Base, right? That would make sense. So we're not too far down the road from being here on Hillfield Road and Hillfield itself. I guess Hillfield Road's a little farther south. But anyway, you look at it, it's fun to be here with a lot of families that are helping support our country in doing such a great job of service. So I applaud you and your parents. Thank you for having me in today. Really appreciate it. This is something fun to be. So I know we were listening very closely that there's something historic going on today. Okay, multi-part question here. The first part is not going to be part of it. The multi-part, that is. Who can tell me what's the historic event going on here today? Well, you're just right here. What's your name, sir?
David.
David. It's close to Devin. I like that name. All right. What's the historic event going on today, David?
Down south,
Yeah.
their average snow is like 3 inches,
Right.
and they already met that criteria.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Do you know what city that is?
St. George.
St. George. Awesome. I knew we could do that. So if we were listening even more closely, I'll kind of stand up so I can be ready to go anywhere in our room. But who can tell me what three major things come together to give us this historic event that's coming up over the southern part of the state here today? So let me go over to this lady right here. What is your name?
Haley.
Haley. Okay, so multi-part question. Not to put you on the spot, Haley, but you are. What are the three things we really need to have this historic event going on? What's the first thing, and it's the easy one? What's the first thing we need in place?
Water.
Okay, that's great. I would say that's the second. What's the first easier one? We need something to make that water frozen, so we need to be
Cold.
cold air, right? So we've got two of the three so far. The last part of it, in order to make the storms, to produce the clouds, to get winds, in order to make that precipitate and come down, we need a big
Storm.
storm in itself. See? Yes, you can give her a round of applause. That's why sixth grade is awesome. Because you put all three of those answers together, and we didn't really kind of explicitly all say them together. We kind of did, but it's great listening skills. So I applaud everybody here today, and you've been great listeners so far. So a historic event going on in Utah where David told us 3 inches of snow in St. George has already fallen. But you know what? That's not even close to the snow that's already there. Kanab, which is a little bit east of St. George in Kane County, the latest report that came in from overnight was 7.5 inches of snow already on the ground. That's half a foot. That's over half a foot. So, Hillfield Elementary, thank you for having me in today. Let's talk a little bit more about that snow. How about it? Let's get a look outside. St. George and our Southern Utah University Camera Network and I discussed the potential earlier on Good Morning Utah for some heavy snow to come in, and we've been seeing heavy snow this morning and finding it. Winter storm warnings for St. George and Cedar City until 9 a.m. tomorrow. For the national parks down that direction until 4 p.m. Many of the winter storm warnings and advisories will continue and won't expire until Friday. So here's a look at Doppler radar, and there is a look at that hefty precipitation that is over the southern part of the state, including Cedar City to St. George, possibly even over towards Kanab as well. Right into the forecast now, northern Utah, Clearfield, Salt Lake City, Wasatch Front, we're going to find nothing. We're not under anything. We're going to miss it this time around. We're going to leave that towards the Uinta Basin east and areas farther south where heavy snow off and on throughout the day. Southern Utah will spread northward. So by tonight, towards the Uinta Basin, Duchesne, Roosevelt, Vernal, you could find some of your heavier snow this evening. We will not get rid of all the snow in southern Utah until we go late tonight towards tomorrow. How much are we looking at? Even with the 3 inches on the ground, St. George, you might find another 2 to 4. That means your final tally could be on the order of about 6 inches of snow, which would double your yearly average and could be record-setting. Now, northeast, east central part of the state, we're looking for maybe spots as Hanksville, maybe 5 inches, but maybe Escalante could be on the order of 1 to 1.5 feet of snow. In Monticello, we could talk about Monticello because they've already had a foot of snow and might put down another 1 to 1.5 feet. St. George, we're looking at you, where winter storm warnings will continue through tomorrow. Several more inches of snow, the heaviest snow today through tonight. but we're not completely done until we get towards tomorrow. Salt Lake City, Wasatch Front, we are looking for cloud cover today and lower to mid-30s and a cold, cold day and ahead tomorrow. But to the weekend, things start to look upward to 40s next week. Hillfield Elementary 6th graders, thanks so much for having me in today. So at ABC4 News, we also like to say we're good for Utah. So on the count of 3, can you say good for Utah and wave goodbye? At ABC4 News Midday, we are 1, 2, 3.